Thank you, Victoria.
Yeah.
I think I first moved here 32 years ago in this building. And this room was originally my studio, and I slept in the other room. And as time went on and I started selling work and I got a little bit more money, I'd take another studio, then another studio, and another studio, and then this became my living room, and I just kept moving things around. And it stayed my living room now for probably 25 years. And I've had hundreds and hundreds of dinner parties in this room of one capacity or another, and around that table, which I built in the courtyard. Actually, I built it in a room because I couldn't get it in out of the door. I used to have parties here where I'd have artists and musicians and film directors and actors, and because I wanted to have this synergy happening that would inspire me, and hopefully they would be inspired. So this is, in my mind, a continuation of all this. And then I have what's called synesthesia, which is I can hear color. And I can tell you pretty much what note it is. I can also hum the middle C without hearing it. So it's in my being somehow. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be cool to find a composer, and I send them a painting and they get inspired and write a piece of music, and then send me the music and I get inspired and make a painting, and we go back and forth, and this would become this conversation. And I found that to be next to impossible to find somebody to work with. And then I started thinking about, well, what if we can somehow map out what these notes are? And then Tony comes into the picture. And Tony is very open to ideas. And I mentioned it to him, and he's like, yeah, sure, let's do it. So we got together. And then also I was thinking about, with artificial intelligence, maybe this is a time to create a software program that could actually read the paintings and translate it back into music. And when I paint, I often will listen to, when I'm starting a painting, I listen to a lot of Indian raga music, because it just kind of opens up my third eye. And then as the paintings become more complex, then I get into Philip Glass and other contemporary composers or composers of the 20th century. And I didn't know if that would, almost as if the paintings are absorbing that music, and if they're holding that music, and if it can be pulled back out again. So I got together with Tony, and we pulled up a painting on my computer, and I zoomed in on a color, made it the whole screen. And I said, I think that's the key of B. So he hits a B, and I said, yes or no. And then I said, well, I think it needs to be more of a minor chord. And then when he would hit the right chords, the right notes, the screen, the colors would vibrate on the computer screen for me, visually vibrate. I thought, that's it. That's it. That's the one. So we mapped out 3 paintings, and each one took about an hour. And after each one, I was completely wiped out. I was emotionally completely drained. But we did it, and it was fascinating. So then the next step was artificial intelligence. How do we now take that information and give it to someone or something that can then use it to read the painting? So by happenstance, met a guy who's actually from the United States, was a priest, left the priesthood 4 years ago, moved to a little village in Italy, was coming here. Person in the village knows Victoria and myself, and she said, you got to go meet these people. So he came, and I invited him up to my ranch. We spent 3 days together, and again, there was this great simpatico. And he said, I get it. I know what you're after. I can write that program for you. So we went back to Italy, and he got started, and he watched videos of me painting and how I make these paintings, which is just me doing this. So he created a software program that would read the paintings with these elliptical random movements, and it would pick up the colors as it's moving. So he would say, pick up this pink color. So it's picking it up as it's moving around. Then pick up this color, and it picks it up. So everything is assigned a number. So then he spits out, and here's the little thing here, and here's it is being read, and here's the graphics of it. And then here it spits out all the numbers of what the notes are, or the colors are. Then those are all reassigned to the musical notations. Now we have sheet music. So I sent this to Tony, and Tony sat down and played it the other day and sent me about a 1-minute clip, and it brought me to tears. literally, because I heard what I feel when I'm painting. And a lot of the music I listen to is coming back through, I found. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Can you hear it too?
Oh, it's a little purposeful too.
Yeah.
On my part.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so anyway, go ahead.
Okay. So that brings us to it's in that brochure if everybody has it, but there's, basically a printed out ordering of all of the harmonies that Shane and I mapped out, and some of them have been kind of piled on top of each other, but basically it just followed all of these ellipses and put the information in order, and that's not yet a piece of music, that's just chords. If I just played them all in order as chords, it would take about 5 minutes, and we get to the end, and that wouldn't really be like, a piece of music. So now it's where I come in and turn it into a song, and so I've spent the last couple weeks kind of just digging through it, more or less looking for a way to organize it in my brain, but also just music needs to have, or it doesn't need to, but I wanted it to have some kind of organization and some kind of structure. And I was honestly I fell in love with the very first chord that's on that printout. And started playing around with that and realized that it's pretty much just a B major scale, but all those notes together and then spread out a little bit, missing 2. And so I kind of started to play around with the idea of being in B major, and then with that in mind, the next couple chords all fit into that really nicely. And so with that in mind, I started to kind of find some patterns and some structures using that first chord as like a stopping point each time. And I started exploring, and I started to basically write a couple different themes, so a couple different melodies, and I would use some notes from the chord prior and some notes from the chord that I'm going to in the way that these lines cross over each other and the colors end up getting on top of each other. And I just kind of did a lot of improvisation and just kind of playing and feeling it. Certain things just kind of feel a certain way to me, like this versus this. Have just for me, very different energies, right? So, and that's just what I'm doing with them. I could play that like that too. And so I'm going to play a bit now. And
which painting is this?
So this is Words Move, Music Moves.
Yeah.
And I took that title into account with kind of what I was coming up with, and I also was thinking about what Shane listens to when he paints, which informs everything that happens, and I think should inform the music.
I sent him. I'm listening to this right now while I'm painting, and then he, and some of his, of course, he's heard most of everything, and some of it I haven't, and something will hit me, and like the guitarist from Radiohead, Johnny Greenwood, is doing these movie scores now, and they're very deep and create these sonic landscapes. And so I'm sending them to him. I said, check this out. And so we exchange back and forth. That's the beauty of having cell phones. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm working on this. Listen to this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which is always exciting to find new music, or to be like, oh, I love that John Adams piece, or I'm performing that Ravel. It's good stuff. And so knowing that he listens to a lot of Indian raga and a lot of Philip Glass, which makes sense because Glass and the whole minimalist movement was so inspired by Indian raga, and kind of kept that in mind. And there's kind of some minimalist structures to what I'm doing, but not always a very minimalist treatment at the piano. I definitely put a little virtuoso into it. And so I haven't fully written it all down yet, so I would consider what I'm going to play just kind of still an improvisation. It's kind of a rehearsed and organized improvisation. And then the next process will be like getting it all down on paper and kind of finessing it. I want to, in the way that this painting, his paintings work, and there's so much information and overlapping, I thought a fugue would be a really great way to put that together. So using the different themes from that I've kind of come up with, I want to put them into a fugue. But yeah, so I'm just going to play a bit of what I've been working on, and then to kind of fit with what Shane listens to and some of my inspiration, I've also have 2 pieces by Philip Glass that I'll perform after. And so we'll just kind of hear it all, and then we can
And this
chat.
is the first time I've heard this, by the way. Mm-hmm. So I thought it would be fun to do it in front of a handful of people.
Thank you. So,
Wow.
still a work in progress, but that's where we're at right now. And then I guess as a palate cleanser, here's some Philip Glass.
Have you done anything with the other piece at all?
A little bit.
A little bit? Can we hear a little bit of it? After the Philip Glass?
Maybe.
Okay.
What? We have Philip Glass Etude number 2 and number 7. 7. So the very first time you ever heard me play was here with that opera singer.
Yeah.
And I had heard through the grapevine that you loved Philip Glass.
Yes.
So at the very end of the concert, I threw in that one Philip Glass etude, and that's why we have this old friendship. And just,
That's right.
You know,
I
so
said
I figured.
you're sticking around. You don't.
Yeah.
You're not going away.
So 2 Philip Glass etudes today in homage. You know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. What's your favorite composer to play?
Maybe honestly, either maybe Liszt or Ravel. Liszt just like feels good in the hands. Like a lot of his, I don't actually love a lot of his music. There's really a handful of pieces that I really love to listen to, but it's very fun to play as a pianist because he was just such a good pianist. And yeah.
And by the way, Tony just got back from Budapest, doing a Liszt competition. He was in Serbia. Sorry, he was in
Serbia and Budapest.
And
Yeah.
went to Budapest, Bosnia, and after the performance, talked to him about it because he had a time. And he snuck in to different places that were like this school and stuff and played. He's incredible.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, everybody. What? What?
Play a little bit.
A little list? Just a little list.
Wow.
If it wasn't clear, that piece is called The Storm, and Liszt wrote it after a pretty crazy experience traveling through the Alps during a pretty intense storm. And I had this crazy experience as I was traveling through Bosnia where I had like just chaos after chaos of a tire blowout as I crossed the border and all the mechanics were closed, and I knocked on some guy's door and he came out and fixed my tire, and I started off towards, I was driving towards the capital, Sarajevo, and I had to drive through the Dinaric Alps to get there, and the GPS was just totally incorrect, and I ended up on some rural road that eventually just ended in a pile of mud on top of the mountain, and I retraced my steps all the way back and got on the right road, and then as I got actually up into the Alps, a blizzard hit, and I drove through a whiteout blizzard the rest of the night. So I've experienced that, so I thought it was a fitting piece, but I get it now.
But also, again, it's simpatico of Shane and us displaying this painting.
This one?
Yeah.
What is it? The Dark Clouds Carried Away the Sun, part of a T.S. Eliot poem. And
It's a storm.
it's a storm.
Yeah, you guys on the same
Yeah.
without even realizing
I
it.
think I made this first time I've ever actually hung this painting up, and I think I finished it 4 or 5 years ago, and it just went directly into storage, and we got it out yesterday for the first time.
Needs to be hanging up.
It needs to be hanging up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was happily surprised too. I thought, oh, that's a nice painting. I made that painting. Wow, that's cool. You know, you forget about these things. That was amazing.
Thank you.
Can you do a little bit of the other one by chance? I haven't heard it yet. I'm dying to hear it.
Honey's got all the power.
Well,
I know.
I haven't really explored it. You can see me starting to organize it. So just, all I've got are the chords, which are so much jazzier
Wow.
than the previous one. The previous one was a little more mystic or
Right.
something, and then
But
this one is very jazzy. These are just some of the chords, but so it's a very, very
Wow.
different animal. But
That's beautiful.
Saxophone player.
What's that?
Saxophone player to play with that.
That's so beautiful. Because that one has, that's the one that's on the cover of that little thing. Those are those notes.
some of them,
Some of them, yeah.
they kind of pile on top of each other. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing.
And what's this one called?
The conscious occupation of a praying mind.
And that's the one that these chords belong to.
So how does it make you feel, Shane, to hear this?
Like I'm not totally crazy. That, what I experienced while painting these things, and now it's coming back around
Is it sort of
in a different way.
surreal?
Yeah, very much so. But everything it's all very sensorial. When I hear the colors, it's sensorial. It's not like somebody's hitting a key on a piano. But with Tony, I was able to say, I think it's the key of B. And he hits key of B, and I said, no, it's a minor. And he hits a minor, and I said, there's something with the pinky that you need to do for my lack of, verbal expertise on this. And he would play around, and it didn't take that long, and all of a sudden you'd hit it. I mean, that's it. That's the note. So we'd write it down and then move on to the next color. So I had no idea how any of this was going to sound put together. And then in what order do you put them together? So that's where the AI thing comes in, as his name is Jonah, and he wrote a software program to read the paintings based on the videos that he's seen of me painting.
And how do you paint? For the people who don't know, how do you paint?
How do I paint?
Yeah, give us an
What do you mean by that?
Like that one.
Use your whole body. I mean,
Oh yeah, I'm just it's these. lines are about what my body can move, the movement of my body. So these things take 3 months, 4 months, and it really becomes there's thousands of moments that are condensed into a singular spot, a singular moment. And so it's a compression of time, in a sense. And time to me is how we have memories. And so it's a compression of memories. And it becomes this sort of very sensorial experience for me to make it and to look at it, but then to now hear it is a whole other realm. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't think this would ever happen without Tony.
Aw.
I know it wouldn't.
Does anybody have any questions about
Questions?
all of this?
Sharon, you're shaking your head.
Yeah, I'm a little overwhelmed. The list particularly just.
Well, we were supposed to end with the Philip Glass for that reason, you know.
The glass was magnificent, but there was, you could relate to the changes of the mood and the chord. And we all know a little bit about Philip Glass.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems very tame. And then you brought the story.
Right.
And I see how you work together because it's really magnificent. It's fun.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
The director at the Forest Lawn Museum, James, a year and a half ago when we first went up to look at the museum, because for the current show that's up right now, he said, "Would you like to see the concert hall?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And we walked in, my mouth just dropped open. I said, "I want to do something here." And he said, "What?" And I said, "I don't know. Let me think about it. But I want to do something here." And he said, "Okay. It has to go through a committee and a board, and you just don't get to do something." I said, "I understand. Let me think of something." And then it started percolating, and then we, met Tony, and I started thinking, wait a minute. There's got to be a way to connect these dots. So I've, theoretically have them confirmed for March 9th at the Forest Lawn Concert Hall, and there's a big screen there. So, and then it really went down a number of rabbit holes about 8 months ago, where we started talking and meeting other people, and these two twins said that they were AI guys, and who knows what they were, and they were very strange. Mm-hmm. But you gotta weed through it all, and then met this woman from India who's the guru of AI software development, and we had a couple of Zoom meetings with her, and then she sent her CEO of her company to meet with us, and then she said, "Well, if you have synesthesia, why do you need AI?" Because the computers will never have synesthesia. So you have something that computers can never ever do. I said, "You know what, you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm going about this the wrong way." And then we met with this company called Excite Labs, and they do these huge projects, and they got this idea, and it was massive, and they wanted to film me painting, and then the music would interact with these movements that would then recreate a painting on a giant screen that would be composed by the music. So the music is theoretically being derived from the paintings, and then it's being interpreted, and then that interpretation would then drive a different software program that would then paint in real time, which would be projected onto these screens. That's a fantastic idea. But then he sends me the quote of 460,000, and that didn't include the materials. I said, no. I said, it's a brilliant idea, but we're not there yet. We're just not there yet. And so then I thought, well, let's just back the whole thing up. And what if what we're talking about, and I just thought, that's enough. It's enough to talk about it. It's enough to show some slides, to talk about what we've been through and how this is organically developing. Mm-hmm. And then Tony comes out and gives this amazing performance.
Yes.
So hopefully March 9th is and I told James, I said, "Hey, I'm really going to do this." And he said, "Okay, we need to talk in January." I said, I'm not bullshitting you. We will pull this off.
I saw James last week.
What's that?
I said I saw James last week.
Oh, you did?
I was over at the gallery. Yeah.
Oh, you were? Oh, that's right. You saw him, yeah. You talked to him?
A little bit, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So anyway, this is what we're striving for, but I think this will just be the first step.
I have a question.
Yep.
Is the concert hall where that gigantic screen
Yeah.
is and the painting?
Yeah. Yeah. Won't that be amazing? Amazing. And then we can project these things and project the paintings onto the screen and, whatever. And so that'll be step number one.
Well, you guys are treasures, and that place is a treasure. Yeah.
So we'll see, one day at a time. Any other?
That you wrote for Shane, is the artwork present in this room?
No, it's at the Forest Lawn Museum.
Okay, the artwork is there right now. That's the show.
And the paintings are 6.5 feet by 9 feet.
You practically did an house in one home.
Yeah, they're big.
Well, that's my final resting place, so I'll be going soon.
Well,
I'm sorry, I couldn't help.
They're big. So anyway, any other questions?
When you hear a colour, does it change by the force of application?
Changed my what?
By the force of application. In other words, you're applying a colour.
Oh.
You just say my simple mind is blue.
Uh-huh.
You can find a note that's blue.
Mm-hmm.
If you change the force of application, that knows more pressure or less pressure, does it change the note perception?
I think so, and because we went through like different shades of reds, for instance, and I thought they should all be in the same key, right? And so I was doing them separately, and I was allowing myself just to be in the moment, and these different notes were coming to me. And then afterwards, Tony said, no, they're actually all in the same family. You're just approaching it from different points of things. And I thought, well, that's interesting. So in a sense, yes, just the variations of the intensity of the color.
That goes along with like one of the first conversations we had when we were talking about how to do this, because like Scriabin, for example, famous Russian composer, had synesthesia, and you can Google and find his color wheel, and for him, like G sharp is blue, A is yellow, and it's just like note by note, everything that, but I'm like, music is so complex, and so if there's an A in there and it's an A major 7 chord, right? And then, so I wondered about that. And after talking with Shane and just kind of talking about his paintings, I began to realize, like, for him, like, a color isn't usually just a color, like, it has some kind of function. Like, this red is taking you to this depth. Like, he always had an explanation for every single color, and I was like, well, that's like harmony. Like, harmony has function. Harmony moves us to something. It has inherent tension or resolution or whatever. So I thought we needed to maybe go further than just, like, okay, red is that. Like, I think it's more complicated than that, and I think, two different reds can have entirely different functions for Shane.
Yeah.
So we started to explore being a little more, I think, critical and detailed.
Yeah, and we're just getting started with this, and then my question that I need to ask Jonah is this elliptical software that he wrote, because on these paintings, not on this one, but these paintings, there's always a wide brushstroke that I start off with, and it's about this wide, and it's in the background, and it gets buried underneath. But it starts usually in an upper corner and works its way around. So then I thought, what if we also, the software program reads it maybe in that direction first. So I guide him, and then it starts changing and going back and forth. So it's more accurate about how the painting is actually made. I don't know, we'll see. Right, does that make sense?
Yeah, it's interesting.
So it's, anyway, it feels pretty amazing to me. Because I've had this thought in my head for probably 30 years about finding somebody. And one time, a number of years ago, I was in Italy, and I was in Venice, and I was at this dinner party, and I was sitting next to the composer for the Venice Opera Hall thing, or whatever it was, and I said, hey, I'm so glad you're here. Wow, this is fate. I pitched my idea to him. He goes, I like it, and we exchanged information, and nothing ever happened. And I thought, oh well, what are you going to do? And then it came up again, and every now and then somebody would come through here, a composer or somebody, and a dinner party, and I bring this up, and they'd say, "Oh, that's an interesting idea. I don't know. Good luck." Then I thought, well, maybe it's not a composer I'm looking for. Maybe the paintings are in essence, sort of the composer, but we need to, like I told Tony the other day, before he started delving into it, he said, "Now what?" And I said, "Think of this as Frankenstein. We've created Frankenstein, but he's not breathing yet. So we have to put electricity into him and get him breathing and thinking and feeling, because it's not feeling. Right now we have all this information, but now it has to be put through a process, back into our process, our human process of what it means to have 5 senses in our world and navigate the world." And, yeah?
I'm sorry, I'm asking.
No, please.
If Scriabin sees whatever note as yellow, is there a consistency if you see yellow? Is it the same note? No. Okay. So there's no consistency with.
I think it's each individual person, so we're like these human antennas that are picking up vibrations, because what colors are ultimately is how it vibrates. So a black color has very little vibration. Reds are very yellows have a lot of vibration. So we sensorially pick up on that.
But our eyes see color, presumably.
But it's the vibration that we're seeing. Just the same as the sound that we're hearing is vibration that our ears are picking up on. And
Yellow has many things that would be called yellow that on the spectrum would be so many.
Oh yeah.
And you only have 88 keys, so you have to get the chords to get all that possibility, because there's thousands of colors.
Yes. Yes.
Well, and everyone sees color differently.
Yes.
Color is unique and individual.
I think we see it differently, but I also think that emotionally it has different meaning for us, depending on our lives and what we've done. So, this is just it's an interpretation of an interpretation that's just creating a new something. I'm just excited about it. It makes me feel, I don't know, just like, makes me feel happy about being alive.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Really does.
We're happy you are.
As also musicians, what do you guys think?
I'm fascinated by Shane's gift and Anthony's gifts, because it continuously blows my mind. I've heard Anthony play for a couple of years now, but I'm fascinated by Shane's gift because I'm interested in vibrational elements and different frequencies, and hearing him talk about it, it just opens up. I guess I experience what he's saying in a different way. My sensitivities are different, and I don't know, I love that it brings such a multidimensional element to Shane's work. I feel like every time I talk to Shane, another dimension is revealed, and I've experienced your paintings in many different ways now, and with this element of hearing, you played me that snippet last night on the phone, and it just, like you said, it sounds exactly like what it's like to experience your painting through movement, let's say, like being in that world. I did some movement for Shane's paintings a couple years ago, but
Paintings.
yes, actually these paintings.
That painting,
Yes, so experiencing what it's like being in that world and hearing it now sonically, it comes together so much for me. And I guess from a visual art standpoint, a musical standpoint, and a movement standpoint, it all is very, very cohesive, and it's an entire world or an entire universe within itself.
It's profound.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's really profound. Tony sent me a little snippet, and I listened to it the other night on my phone. I went, holy shit, there it is. That's what I sensorially feel while I'm painting. And now I can actually hear it. wow. And tears came to my eyes, you know. And my girlfriend, like, are you okay? Yeah, I'm really okay. Yeah, this is a whole new experience for me. And
yeah, I just think it's the coolest thing ever. I mean, being a painter as well as a musician, and being really into movies and the visual aspect of you're combining these things. I've always this is just like I've always been like as a painter, always like frustrated with these two beautiful mediums, these beautiful things that you can never really like. You can feel them working within you, but but this is like giving it what's deep inside both you guys, giving it a channel into the physical world. Just like
it's like a portal has just opened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really amazing.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to probably inspire a lot more people to search with that within themselves. And
Let's hope.
definitely. Will.
Boy, you know, the world needs something right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to look inside, but I think we'll find the amazing beauty we have in all of us. It's unique.
Yeah.
Amazing. Like this is like
Indeed.
part of that movement. And I think it's
Yeah.
cool.
And I think Tony, I mean, he's a unique performer too. You know, I mean, not many people you could say, like Shane said, missed opportunities to work together, but Tony does so many different things and so open. He just created a music program at Occidental, his own course, and you're like totally open channel.
Thank you.
You know,
Oh, it's a very unique moment in time, and I'm glad I happened to be at the right spot at the right time, and we connected, and it's like, oh, this is working, and it's quite effortless.
That's what you know.
You know, that's what you know. You know, then I'm thinking, well, and then Jonah, he called the other day, and he said, so how are you seeing this? Like my role in this? I said, well, it's taking all three of us, you know, so it's a collaboration.
Yes.
It's really a collaboration of sort of three different ways of thinking about the world. And it's fusing together to create something new. And I see, you know, I can see recording an album. I can see, you know, there's so much that can be done with all this. And this is just, this first time I've heard it, it's the first time you've heard it. So, sky's the limit.
Thank you, everybody. Good stuff.
It's all good. All right. Well, you want to play something else just for fun?
If you any requests?
Whatever you want to play. Oh, I know, China Gate.
Sure. Actually, why don't I play? You sent me this on Instagram. It was a piece that you were painting.
Yeah.
And you sent it to me.
I did.
And I mentioned that I play it. So
That's right.
Why don't I play that?
Okay.
This is a piece by Ravel.
Okay.
And I've been saying I want to play it for you live someday.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll do that.
Let's do that. Wow. Amazing. And that was a piece I was listening to while painting recently, and I sent Tony a thing. I said, I'm listening to this. This is an amazing piece. And he goes, oh, I know that one.
He sent this to me on Instagram, and I was like, oh, I love that piece. So I thought that would be a fun one to play. That's a piece by Ravel called A Boat on the Ocean.
I need a glass of wine after all that.